Okay, so this is the JM Custom Kydex AIWB, just their standard AIWB holster for the Smith & Wesson K-frame, 4-inch barrel. Not really going to go into why I got a 4-inch barreled K-frame appendix holster. That's not really what I want to touch on in this video. I just want to talk about this holster. For those of you who are contemplating something from JM Custom Kydex, whether it's a 4-inch barrel, it's kind of probably a little ridiculous to most people for appendix carry. Most people opt for 3-inch, 2 3/4 inch, K-frames, or 1 7/8 inch or 2 1/4 inch J frames, which I'm pretty sure they probably make holsters for all those models. I'm pretty sure they do. In fact, the fact that they make this as an option that you can get custom is kind of funny to me, but they do. And I I got it made for just a Model 64 that you see right here. Just something that I got through in a bobbed hammer and VZ G10 grips. So about the holster, color, whatever, doesn't really matter what color it is. I've been kind of opting for lighter colors. I know some people like the orange, like bright colors that they can really kind of easily see what, if anything, might be, in the holster if you're reholstering, and makes it a little bit easier to see with a lighter color. I just got whatever this Coyote Brown or FDE, whatever you want to call it. I just got that color just because they had it available. For those of you that don't know, JM Custom Kydex, they make some really nice holsters, and if you understand what a good quality Kydex holster maker, what a good holster looks like when you receive it. Everything is really well blended. All the lines really well polished, and there's no sharp edges. That's a lot of the cheaper Kydex holsters that you see. They're just unfinished. JM Custom Kydex does a great job finishing off their holsters. The Kydex itself is a good thickness. It's very rigid, so when you have the gun out of the holster, when it's inside your waistband, it won't collapse, which is important. Some cheaper quality holsters with thinner Kydex might be an issue. For appendix carry, you don't really need as much belt retention, as long as the holster itself provides good retention. At least I find that I don't need as much belt retention, so that's not really an issue either way. There's a few things about this holster that, there's a lot about it that's really good. There's a few things that I wish were different, and I believe this is the standard AIWB is the only option that they list for the K-frame with a 4-inch barrel. I could probably have gotten, sent them a message and had them adjust things before I got it, but I just didn't think about it because it seemed like a good design, and it is a good design. But there's a few things that I wish were different. It does come with 2 belt loop attachments. I think you can get clips and other attachment methods. Other than that, I just got pull-the-dot loops, which I like a lot. I took one off because I typically find that just this one right here at the center kind of keeps it in position, and I can kind of shift it around as needed as I'm sitting, etc. And it doesn't really move because it's a 1.5. It's on the 1.5 dot, and it hugs my belt really well, so it doesn't really shift even with just one. Things that I wish were different from the factory or from JM Custom Kydex. The actual holster is about that long. Okay, there's maybe about 3/4 of an inch extra at the end of the muzzle, which isn't, to me, I'm sure they did it for a reason. For me, it's not very necessary, because that just adds a little bit too much extra. I kind of cut it down. So this really crappy muzzle job on the end of the holster, that's all me. That's just from, as you can see, I cut it down to a little bit more flush. I don't really care that it's not perfect. I'm not that big of a stickler on that, as long as it's rounded off, which I rounded it off. But now it fits pretty much flush to the end of the barrel. That extra little bit of length, you know, I'm sure they did it for a reason. I didn't need it, and it just added more barrel to poke into my thigh and things like that. Made it a little bit less comfortable. This way is pretty much perfect. The whole length of this gun is basically like Glock 34 length, I would say. So, you know, Glock 34, a slide on a Glock 34 would come out to like here though. So you'd have, you know, all this is gone on a revolver like this. So I cut that down. It makes it a lot more comfortable. I know it doesn't seem like much, but you know, finding that right spot, and it may not be a big deal for other people, but for me, I wanted that cut down, so I just did it myself. Not a big deal. The main thing that I really wish were different on this, and I know why they did it. On an appendix carry holster, typically you have, you know, on a good one, what you want is some kind of claw or wing or something to stick out that pushes against your belt so that it tucks the butt of the gun into your abdomen. They accomplish this not with really a wing or anything, but they add this, they kind of leave this material here open. They, you know, push it out a bit more right here so that it kind of acts the same way. It does a pretty good job. I have a Glock 34 holster from JM Custom Kydex, and it does a really good job with that. You know, it's molded the same way. I kind of wish though that with this, this material was pushed down against the trigger guard and kind of flattened against the frame, kind of molded essentially. And I wish that there was an ability to add a claw here, because for me, like, having a little bit extra out here wasn't a big deal for me. But this whole thing kind of adds a little bit of unnecessary bulk to me, and it doesn't quite push the gun in like a wing or a claw. I'm guessing, like I said, you could probably get that option from them. I don't 100% know that, but just an idea, just something that I've noticed. It is a very comfortable holster to wear, despite it being kind of a long gun. I mean, I can wear this all day, and it's just absolutely not a big deal, even despite the weight. For me, carrying appendix, weight doesn't really matter so much. If I were carrying behind the hip, you know, that would be different, because that tends to really kind of hurt my back. This way, you know, this type of gun or a 1911, not a big deal really with appendix carry, in my opinion. And the nice thing about revolvers too for appendix carry is, you know, especially with bobbed hammer, double action only type revolver, I mean, all this material is, you know, it really kind of conforms really well to, you know, the side of your, you know, like 1 o'clock position on your hip bone. And it just, for me, it just tucks, you know, even with a gun with a slide on it that sticks out, it still sticks, it sits really nicely. But revolvers are especially good in that method of carry. So the retention's really good, and it's adjustable. You can adjust it right here with this screw, but really kind of locks in there well. Has a good sight channel there, so if you have a gun with adjustable sights, as you can see, it's kind of, there's enough room there, I think. This is specifically like a Model 10, Model 64 holster that I think, so you might, if you have adjustable sights, it might have to be relieved here I haven't looked on their website, but I'm guessing there's that option. I don't know 100%. But anyway, despite the few issues that I have with the way that it's made, just the features of it, it's still a really good holster. Like, I can't recommend them enough. They're a little bit on the expensive side. I think standard AIWB holster is like 70 or 75, and then as you add features, it goes up. But as you can see, they just really mold everything really well. It fits right to the gun. It's just really, I just bumped the camera, or the tripod, I should say. But it's just a really good holster, and it, I can do a really pretty good draw on it, even seated. Like I said, I'm not going to go into the whole 4-inch K-frame and whether or not it's a good idea. It's probably not a good idea for a lot of people, but it's a really good setup, really good carry setup, and overall I'm really happy with the holster. I might take a heat gun to it and see if I can't modify that a bit for my own purposes, but for most people, not a big deal. So that's it. That's the JM Custom Kydex 4-inch K-frame appendix holster. Thanks for watching.